The big ones over there have their grain. Baby lambs right here. Hi, Papa. He was just hopping around. I gave them a mixture today of mixed grass that I put it up here on the edge. Here, mixture of mixed grass and alfalfa. Mixed grass is, and then the secondary blend is straight alfalfa. And I gave her the grain. The ram nibbles on the grain a little bit here or there, but he was hopping around. I've been in the barn about 45 minutes, so he's was entertaining, running around, jumping around. I was going to show you a little bit how I'd taken some precautions here from my experience working with sheep and goats, even from home, my birthplace of Israel, Haifa, as well as when I was younger, I had an opportunity to be in a place in northern Ontario, a small town near called Thornbury. There was individuals there that really taught me a lot about animal husbandry and how to do it right and how to prevent situations from ever occurring by taking simple little precautions. And I'm going to explain, okay? See here the water dish. You know, there's a corner there, and corners create havoc for animals, especially young animals that hop or jump or that can potentially drown themselves. I think we all know the stories of children, unfortunately, falling into a bucket and drowning, which is catastrophic. So what I've done here is I've put grass, hay, in the edge in here in the corner. This way it's not a trappable situation. I've also haven't attached the bucket to the fence. So in case the little guy was to unfortunately fall in and he would panic, hopefully this bucket would fall. Also, the angle of the bucket is slightly facing away from the fence to help with the weight of if unfortunately he did go in there, it would fall. Another area, this is actually something that a really important person in my life taught me. His name, his name was Duncan McKinley. Nicest man I've ever met in my life. Really showed me kindness and affection in the most healthy, holistic way. Um, you know, he's a farmer. He's a good man. He's married. He's got kids. He's got grandkids. Really taught me well. And that man is a beautiful human being. He's still married. He has a lovely wife, Mrs. McKinley. She is a wonderful human being, and her name is Susan McKinley. She's an angel in my life. He told me one day that he came into a barn and he saw one of his cows, kind of stuck underneath a fencing, and you know they have insurance, right? But he said if I would have just closed the gap here, you know, with some sort of fiber or wood, depending how big the gap is. But what I do every day is I make sure that this little guy isn't able to accidentally lay down and roll and then get one of his legs caught. And through the panic of being trapped, he would potentially hurt himself. And that's not what we want. So the corners are built up. The edge here, you can see the gap here, right? There's a gap. There's enough of a gap to be able to get stuck, unfortunately. So the inside is stuffed in, the outside is stuffed in, and that way it closes the gap. The bedding, the feed is here. This bedding area is there. That corner as well is also stuffed in, and it's just on a high to low. And then if anything did spill in here, which it never would, but there's drainage. So this area is higher. This area is higher than this area. So natural drainage. It never gets that wet in here because I maintain my animals very well. And in the winter, I like to have my animals indoors at night, of course. During the day, they go out and they frolic and they play and they have giant areas that in the summer and spring are used as natural pasture. And here, just to give you an idea, there is a little run here that they walk around and do their thing. And then here, they have access to going outside, right? The fence is, that door is closed, but when that door is open, this opens, and then they have their pasture, which is, that area is just a muddy area for now, but there's grass going to come up, and there's grass and mixed grasses that come up there. Ultimately, the diet that you feed your animals, the readiness that their bodies are going to be able to preserve the proper weight and nutrition for the hopeful day of being, breeding them or, producing from them with a very strong, vibrant, healthy, genetically non-inbred male to an animal that is, hi buddy, hello, you're famous, yes you are, to be able to produce an animal that isn't an inbred, doesn't have the same genetics, is healthy, is friendly, but not tame. So there's a difference between being tame and being friendly. He's friendly, but he's not tame. And you just always have to take precaution with sheep. And you want to see some funny, silly videos, watch when sheep or goats attack. They're ambush predators in a way. So not in a hunting style, but they will use your idea that they're gentle creatures and they won't potentially try to strike you. I call it mischievous misbehavior. Ultimately, I don't think they're doing it because they're like, I want to hurt you. A lot of their behavior comes down to I want to intimidate you or dominate you, and they'll use an opportunity for when you, let's say, turn your back, stomp you in the leg. There's a really funny video, a side note, of a goat, okay? And this is in the Middle East, because in the Middle East we have, some people have thousands of goats, and they get really frisky. The man didn't die in this video, but the billy goat ran, jumped off the wall like a ninja, off the wall, and completely body slammed this individual. Yeah, the video was set up because they knew the ram or the goat would do that, but they didn't think it was going to go like a Hollywood production. It's the funniest, funniest video you've ever seen in your life. But back to this little guy and his mama. So she came here about 6 months. I'll give you some time references. They were born in September 15. They were born actually on the day that I had surgery to remove 52 tumors out of my back. So they were born on that day. And she is a half sister of that one there, which are unrelated to the ram. They came here about 5 months prior. They were supposed to be bred prior to being here. And they weren't, which is fine. But she cost me a lot of money, and which is okay, but she cost me next to nothing. And I asked why. And the lady said to me, I won't say her name regardless, lady said to me that she's a dud. She gets pregnant, but she's not able to go through the trimester, the full term. She ultimately has miscarriages. I said, why is she thinner? I asked questions. I said, why is she so much thinner? And the lady said, she's about 4.5 months younger than her half sister. I'm like, interesting. So I listened to everything and I dissect the information, and I try to avoid the emotional side of the story. I just try to get the facts. So the facts were, she is 4.5 months younger. she was put into the herd with rams, bred way too soon because she was bred at the same time. She was bred at the same time her half sister was, which is 4.5 months older. So the lady said that she was at the age for breeding, and they just took the gamble to see if she would take. So her body couldn't do what the body needed to do, and it got rejected with a miscarriage. For her, it saved her life potentially. Then they tried to breed her again without enough time to, I guess, go through the resurgence of nutrients. Dorper sheep are a little bit different. Don't quote me exactly on the facts of science here, but they are very similar to the reproductive system of a human in a sense, where they go through a regularly cycle where some breeds of sheep might only have a window once or twice a year to be fertile enough to carry an embryo. Dorper sheep, from what I have understood, they will go through a cycle almost every month to potentially have the ability to be bred. And because of that, if a Dorper female misses a heat or doesn't get bred in the herd, she could easily be reintroduced to a male to be able to carry an embryo. The issue with that, though, if you have a lamb or a sheep, a female sheep, that is in a situation where they're constantly being exposed to a male and being bred multiple times, and then potentially even, attaining, an embryo. If the body doesn't have the ability to have the nutrients to carry that baby, then it would be a problem. And if you kept that cycle going, it would always be a problem. So this is her first baby, and I'm really happy that she is about twice the size just in girth without being pregnant than she ever was when I first got her. It just goes to show that when you try to push as much production out of your animal without necessarily giving them the ability to be ready to produce what you're desiring, just puts detriment. And I asked the lady, why don't you just keep her and give her another chance? The lady simply said it's just not cost effective, because to give her the time, then she would need to at least have 3 to 8 months of recovery to be able to be physically strong enough to be able to produce and carry to full term the lamb or the baby of animal. Choosing. So it doesn't necessarily just go for sheep. It goes for anything that has the ability and genetics to produce. Any animal, a human being, lizard, cat, fish, dog, horse, if it doesn't have the internal strength and the genetical ability, then it's going to be a downhill spiral. And yeah, I'm just really happy that she's doing good. And it's even more important, he's doing good. And he's a full Dorper. He's a full Dorper ram. Her sister there is half. So she is half woolly, half Dorper. He is a full Dorper from outstanding genetics. Like, man, I'm telling you, the genetics on this guy are strong. Are you laying down? He's so tired. He's running around. having a good time. Da-da-da. But yeah, it's good. It's good. So they get their hay here. They get their fresh water here. And again, like as I said before in the video, there's nothing attached here to the fence here for this bucket. So if that little guy accidentally jumped in here, it can easily be toppled over. The edges here are also stuffed. They're also stuffed to make sure that he doesn't get stuck. And there, the edges are stuffed in. This cute little guy. He's just eating grain here with his mom earlier before. I really happy to see that they're doing good. And that's what you want. You want to be able to have them in visual sight of the actual entirety of the herd, because if the herd leaves and she's here with her baby, she panics out. So it's very important that she doesn't be stressed, and she has a large enough pen to be able to move around and still be able to have strength in her body as well. Once a day, I open this and I move all the other sheep out, and I give her time to flex her legs. In this part of the barn, I move the sheep out in the field, and because they can see through here, it's different. I lift up the tarp. That way mom could run around and stretch her legs out and help circulation, because you don't want, I think they call it like stiffness in the muscles where there's not enough movement, and then it can cause problems, right? Like crampage and other issues. Hi, Ram. Hello. Hi. Yes, how you doing? And the difference between a wool sheep and a Dorper sheep is their hair is hair. And I'll give you an example. So my hair is hair. It kind of looks like a woolly. It's very different texture, of course, but it's actually hair, like human. So having a Dorper sheep, it's actually, oh, that was a good one. See, I learned that from football class. All right. Having a Dorper sheep, you don't need to, slow down. You don't need to trim them every year. Okay, their hair naturally just sheds, and it's really, really cool. It's not as convenient, let's say, to use this as a heat product, because it is hair. I use the hair that I get from him that falls off. It's an ultra absorbent. It's also a good, if you had to clean out a bucket, you could use that. I'm going to show you wool. I'm trying to here, Bubba. I'm trying to get through here. So you remember when I said that rams or sheep are predatory? They are. See, I'm trying to get out, and he's naturally trying to stop me from leaving. Multiple reasons. One, he loves to get his head scratched. He loves it right here, actually, under the chin. Right there. Under his head there. Yeah. Maybe he'll give me a little tail wiggle. Give me a little wiggle. He loves his belly scratched. Loves his belly scratched. And the worst thing that you would ever want to do to a ram, or any type of, well, mostly a ram, female sheep don't usually do this, but if you get low on their level and you connect eyes with them on this type of a level, I highly recommend not to do that. His head is a solid bone with the ability to cause major havoc. Okay, and you don't want that. All right, good. And he had his horns cauterized, which I don't recommend doing, but that happened prior to him being here. And the issue sometimes with that, I find, is the horn stops growing out, but it starts growing with inside the skull of the animal. And sometimes that can create major discomfort and also create very aggressive animals because they are literally getting their brain squished. Rottweilers also have that issue where their brains are so big. Their brains are so big that and their skull structure is smaller because of inaccurate breeding and trying to create the perfect looking dog. And sometimes visually pleasing isn't genetically the best. So I am trying to get through here. And that's their big water dish here. Whoa! Hold on. We're going to trick you here. We're going to go there. Look. Come here. Look. I got this for you. Yeah, it's for you. Can you go look at that over there? All right. Settle down there, Charlie, bro. I'll be back. You guys are good? You guys are good? All right. Now here. I will just quickly show you my chicken setup. So my hens are here. They got a 1500 watt thermal heater and they can come in and out through that gap. That's mostly for the rabbits. But here they can come in and out and the sheep can't go in there and eat all their grain. And I carry all my feed that I have. That's my garbage bag, all my strings and ropes. That way I don't want, the extra, any kind of string to get around their legs. Especially the pheasants, right? Pheasants are notorious for having strings because they drag their feet, okay? And, hi Django. When they drag their feet and they get, let's say, this type of a line or string around it, or any type of string, it will restrict and cause major issues. So we got the sheep text here. We got the rabbit pellet for the bunnies from the little garbage bag, and then different types of feed for the chickens. We have I have an egg layer as well as a grower, which is extremely important because I don't eat my chickens. I eat their eggs. If you just feed your chickens, an egg, a layer pellet, yeah, it helps with the production of their eggs for sure. But I like to do a mix, so I give the egg the egg nutrients as well as a grower. That way, my birds can have a higher fat content, have more nutrients, and my birds, they free range, so they're not just always in a. Oops, sorry, I meant to do that. So they're not always in a barn where they're not going to burn those calories. They have the entire access. They like to root around in the grass. They're all over here in the summer. And the pheasants are awesome because they're like an early warning alarm system. They will always hang out with the other animals. And if they see anything that isn't supposed to be there, they start gawking. Sheep start talking, and the chickens start scurrying away. And as you can see here, one of my hens just loves being very close to the heater, which is fine. And that's on a safety thing. So if one of the birds hits that, it turns off right away. And that's mounted and bolted into the roof there. Very safe, and it's also on a very good breaker. But yeah, you have to always kind of think worst case scenario and hope that you never have to deal with worst case scenario. You want to make things secure, but not permanent. Give you an example. If there was ever a fire, how hard would it be for me to get everybody out. It would literally take 30 seconds, 5 seconds for this door. That's set up in a way where I can knock it down and everyone can get out. There's two exits from this barn. There's this exit, there's that exit, and then we have two exits for the two exits into the field. Everything can easily be blown out, blown in to preserve the safety of the animals. Last thing you'd ever want to do is have a struggle to get your animals out. And I learned that from a horse breeder. I asked him, I go, man, you just spent $100 on leather straps, and then you cut the clip, and you connected it with this type of a thread. With this type of a thread, not as thick, but I said, why would you do that? You just ruined your thing. Because he uses it, the lady actually and the husband, they use it in the stall area where the horses walk. And she said if the horse ever reared up and that strap didn't break, it would cause the horse to buckle its back end and land on its back and head and literally break its neck. So she said that in the case that the horse ever panicked and it bucked up, that the pressure and the strength of that would snap the rope, release the horse, and the horse would be free. Of course, it would be an undesirable situation to have a horse behave that way, but she said if the horse was ever there and there was a fire, or if the horse was ever in that position and a predatory animal came in, they wouldn't be trapped, which ultimately would cause their death. Or then try to panic and not be able to break free, which ultimately could cause serious injury. So everything that I've learned from other people's experiences helps my experience in life a lot smoother and a lot smoother, and it's a lot more soothing. So it doesn't matter how old someone is, if you're able to learn through someone else's experiences and dissect how to make that better for you, that just means that you're wiser than the person next to you that views someone that's older as, not efficient. Before technologies and everything, how did they do it back then? Well, if you don't know, that doesn't make you smarter. Before tractors, how did people do things? Well, they call it horsepower for a reason. They used buggies, they used horses. The old way of doing things doesn't necessarily mean it was the wrong way of doing things. It just means that was the best way of doing things in that time period. So, ultimately, being able to take that experience, that wisdom, that knowledge, that understanding of what's important, and the happiness and longevity of the animals is number one primary, right? Hey, little guy. Those are the baby lambs that were born on September 15th, yeah. And the mom is Emily there, and that's Molly over there. See, he's a woolly, and he's a dorper. But they won't be good for breeding because they have two sets of genes inside of them. Even though he is a dorper, he can still produce woolly sheep because that gene is there. And unfortunately, the woolly sheep is more dominant than the dorper gene. But that little guy there, he is 100% dorper because his daddy's a dorper. And she is a dorper. And he is a dorper, and she is a woolly. Hello. It's super important that your animals aren't scared of you and that they maybe not respect you, but they shouldn't fear you. Take care, everyone. Remember, vote conservative and make this country what it was. Make it great again. Respect and love all people. Abide by the law. But there is one law for all Canadians, not different laws for different Canadians. One law, one love, a united Canada. Thanks for watching. Affiliated K-9. We love you. Peace out.